The Las Vegas Raiders have officially introduced Pete Carroll and John Spytek as their new head coach and general manager. In this video, we're diving into the key moments from their first press conference. I'll break down what they said, share some highlights, and let you hear clips so you can form your own opinions. This press conference had some exciting and insightful moments. It gave us a glimpse of how these two plan to steer the Raiders toward success. They tackled tough questions that shed light on their strategy for building a competitive team. Honestly, I think Pete and John could finally get the Raiders on the right track, maybe even lead them to a Super Bowl in our lifetime. Let's face it, the Raiders haven't had much luck in the past 2 decades. But their new game plan focuses on constructing a strong roster that can deliver real results. A solid team starts with the basics: running the ball effectively, playing tough defense, and giving the quarterback the tools to succeed. From this, it's clear the Raiders plan to build a team grounded in the fundamentals. Run the ball, play great defense, and give their quarterback the support he needs. Later in the press conference, Pete was asked another question, and his answer reinforced this same strategy. It seems like Pete and John are already on the same page, and they're ready to get to work building a team that can win. The Raiders are clearly aiming for a conservative approach this season. Their strategy focuses on running the football, protecting the quarterback, and playing solid defense. And let's be honest, unless you've got a superstar like Tom Brady or Josh Allen, this is the blueprint for success. Look at teams like the Buccaneers with Baker Mayfield or the Seahawks when they had Russell Wilson. They thrived by running the ball effectively, avoiding turnovers, and playing tough defense. For the Raiders, this approach makes perfect sense. Turnovers were a massive problem for the Raiders last season. When Aidan O'Connell stepped in and Antonio Pierce took over after Josh McDaniels was fired, we saw flashes of success because the team kept things simple. They ran the ball, played defense, and avoided costly mistakes. But last season, turnovers destroyed us, and it showed in the results. This year, the Raiders need to protect the football and stick to this conservative game plan. Of course, we'll need a solid running back to make this work. That's not going to be an easy decision in the draft. By the time we get to our second-round pick, some of the best options could already be gone. But I'm confident we'll land a good rookie running back to pair with our current group. Sincere McCormick looked promising last season, and Alexander Mattison showed flashes of potential. Adding a fresh talent to this mix could really give the Raiders the 1-2 punch they need in the backfield. This style of football, focusing on running the ball and limiting risks, is a smart way to compete. And speaking of competition, Pete Carroll had a strong message for the players about what he expects. It's not just talk, his passion really stands out. Here's what he said. It all starts with competition. You're either competing or you're not. I'll make sure that's crystal clear to these guys from day one. We're going to draft a strong class and maybe bring in a few free agents. But at the end of the day, it's all about competing. Pete's words hit differently. Coaches often talk about competition, but the way he frames it feels more intentional, more focused. This mindset could be exactly what the Raiders need to turn things around. Competition is at the heart of Pete Carroll's message. He made it clear that for players to succeed on a great team, they must first be great teammates. It's not just about showing up with talent, it's about buying into the team culture and supporting one another. Carroll's words highlight something often overlooked. Even talented teams can struggle if players care more about personal fame or money than the game itself. Building a team isn't just about stacking skill. It's about finding players who are committed to the bigger picture. That's why Carroll is emphasizing the importance of teamwork and accountability. At the end of the day, the players make the difference. Coaches like Pete Carroll and executives like John Spytek can shape the culture, but they're not the ones taking the hits or throwing the passes. It's up to the players to deliver, and for that, they need the right mindset. Of course, the Raiders have one major challenge ahead: finding the right quarterback. The quarterback is the most critical position in football, and the team's success often hinges on finding a leader who can elevate everyone around them. Both Carroll and Spytek touched on what it takes to find the ideal quarterback. Spytek shared his experience of working with the greatest player of all time, Tom Brady. According to him, it wasn't just Brady's skills that set him apart. It was his competitive fire, his love for the game, and his willingness to push himself and his teammates to their limits. Spytek explained, "We're going to turn over every stone to find that kind of leader. It's not just about having the strongest arm or being the best thrower. It's about finding someone who will inspire their teammates, push them to uncomfortable places, and do whatever it takes to win." Carroll added, "Our mission is to build this team around the quarterback position. We're lucky to have insights from the greatest of all time, Tom Brady, to guide us. His perspective is unique, and we're going to lean on him as much as we can." The message is clear. Finding a quarterback isn't just about stats. It's about leadership, passion, and the drive to win. The Raiders know this, and they're determined to find the right player to lead their team into the future. The quarterback position is undeniably the centerpiece of any football team, but as Pete Carroll emphasized, it's just one piece of the puzzle. Building a successful team isn't solely about finding a star quarterback. It's about creating a roster that supports them and makes their job easier. Carroll shared his experience with quarterbacks throughout his career, from his college days to the NFL, and highlighted a valuable lesson he learned from Coach Bill Walsh. The quarterback position is the hardest role in professional sports. To help quarterbacks succeed, teams must build a strong foundation around them. Carroll explained his philosophy. "We'll support our quarterback by running the ball effectively, protecting them, taking care of the ball, playing strong defense, and controlling the game on special teams. It's all about building a great football team around the quarterback." He also noted the rare opportunity the Raiders have with Tom Brady's presence, calling it a once-in-a-lifetime chance to gain insight from one of the greatest to ever play the game. John Spytek echoed this sentiment, adding that the quarterback position is notoriously difficult to get right. Instead of pouring resources into chasing the next superstar, he suggested building a strong roster first. With a well-rounded team, even an average quarterback can lead a franchise to success. This mindset challenges the common narrative in football. Fans and analysts often focus on finding the next big thing at quarterback, the next Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, or Joe Burrow. But, as Spytek pointed out, many of these highly touted quarterbacks don't win championships. Why? Because they often lack a strong supporting cast. The takeaway here is simple but impactful. Instead of putting all the weight on the quarterback's shoulders, build a team that can elevate their performance. A complete roster, combined with smart coaching, can lead to sustained success. For years, we've seen even the greatest quarterbacks struggle to win championships. Take Peyton Manning, for example. Despite dominating the regular season with 10 to 13 wins, he often faced early playoff exits. This highlights why Pete Carroll's message resonates so strongly. Success isn't just about finding a superstar quarterback. It's about building a solid roster to support them. Carroll's approach is clear. He advocates for running the ball, protecting the quarterback, and committing to great defense. These fundamentals ease the pressure on the quarterback and create a cohesive, successful team. The alignment between Carroll and John Spytek on this philosophy is notable. They both emphasize that a strong roster can elevate even an average quarterback. Carroll also acknowledged a critical reality. The Raiders are unlikely to land a generational talent like Caleb Williams or Bryce Young. Without a top pick, it's unrealistic to expect the next elite quarterback to just fall into their lap. But that doesn't mean the team can't win. Instead, the focus should shift to finding a capable quarterback who fits within a well-built roster. Whether it's someone like Russell Wilson, Geno Smith, or even a player like Joshua Dobbs, the goal is to create an environment where the roster carries the quarterback, not the other way around. Spytek echoed this sentiment but went a step further in describing the type of quarterback the Raiders need. It's not about arm strength or flashy stats. It's about leadership and grit. They need someone who just gets it done and inspires the team to perform at their best. This reminds me of players like Baker Mayfield, who, despite being written off by many, has consistently shown resilience and drive. The message is simple yet powerful. Prioritize building a strong, balanced team and find a quarterback who embodies determination and leadership. That's the recipe for sustained success. People doubted him, moving from team to team before finally landing with the Buccaneers. But the Bucs gave him a chance, thanks in part to John Spytek's influence, and it's worked out well. While they haven't won a Super Bowl yet, the team is finding success, and much of that is because they believed in a quarterback that others had written off. Spytek's philosophy is clear: leave no stone unturned. He's not looking for the flashiest quarterback or someone with perfect ball placement. Instead, he wants a winner, a player who can simply get the job done. And the plan? Build a solid team around that quarterback. This raises an interesting question. Do Pete Carroll and John Spytek think Aiden O'Connell or Gardner Minshew could be that guy? Could these quarterbacks find success with the right team and coaching staff? The answer may unfold in the coming months. Free agency will reveal which quarterbacks are available, and the draft could also present options. If the Raiders decide not to bring in new talent, they might move forward with O'Connell and Minshew. While that idea doesn't inspire much excitement, a good offensive coordinator could make a big difference. Last year's offensive struggles under Luke Getsy were evident. Many called his hiring a mistake from the start. His poor coaching not only hindered quarterback development, but also put head coach Antonio Pierce's job in jeopardy. This time, the Raiders have an opportunity to get it right, starting with the quarterback position. However, as Spytek highlighted, quarterback isn't the only priority. Building a winning roster requires getting other key positions right, too. When asked about his first steps to rebuild the roster, Spytek explained that it starts with a clear process. His focus will be on defining the type of players the Raiders need to succeed. As he stated, his 9 years of experience evaluating the NFL as a whole will guide this process. First on the agenda, collaborating with Coach Carroll to ensure they're aligned on their vision for the team. Stay tuned, because the decisions made in the coming months will shape the future of the Raiders. When it comes to building a team, John Spytek emphasizes one key thing: character. He firmly believes that the qualities of the people brought into the Raiders organization will define their fate. According to him, it's not just about skills or stats. It's about finding players who love football, thrive on competition, and are willing to meet the high standards the team is setting. Spytek takes this responsibility seriously, saying that scouts have no greater task than identifying the right kind of players. "We want it to be hard to make this team," he says, adding that the rewards for those who rise to the challenge will be great. For Spytek, it's not just about roster construction or filling specific positions right now. It's about defining what it truly means to be a Raider. This philosophy mirrors Pete Carroll's approach. Just like Carroll emphasized the importance of being a great teammate, Spytek is focused on building a culture of relentless competition. If a player isn't willing to compete, there simply won't be a place for them in the organization. Spytek also highlighted the need for clarity about the Raiders' values and the qualities they look for in players. It's not just about raw talent. Whether it's a quarterback, running back, or any other position, the Raiders are searching for leaders and high-character individuals. For example, during his time with the Buccaneers, Spytek shared insights about Bucky Irving, a 5'9" running back. Despite his smaller stature, Irving stood out because of his mindset and character. Spytek recalled how, during a pre-draft meeting, Irving's first words left a lasting impression. That's the kind of player the Raiders are looking for. Someone who may not check every physical box, but has the drive and personality to succeed. It's clear the Raiders' new leadership is focused on more than just building a roster. They're building a culture. With Spytek and Carroll at the helm, expect the focus to remain on players who embody the team's values and bring the kind of character that sets them apart. John Spytek shared an interesting insight about running back evaluations during a previous encounter with Bucky Irving. When asked what sets him apart, Irving confidently replied, "If it's one-on-one in space, that first guy is not tackling me." This statement reflects what Spytek values in players. It's not just about speed or vision. It's about a combination of traits: confidence, competitiveness, and the ability to execute under pressure. Spytek emphasized the need to establish clear expectations across the organization. From scouts to coaches to players, everyone must understand what it takes to be part of this roster. This unified approach will shape how the Raiders build their team moving forward. Another key topic discussed was assembling the coaching staff, which Spytek and Pete Carroll are just beginning to tackle. Carroll explained his vision for blending experience with fresh perspectives. He's looking for coaches who already know his philosophy and can hit the ground running, as well as those who have never worked with him before. The latter group will learn the system while bringing new ideas and challenges to the table. Carroll also emphasized maintaining continuity by retaining some of the existing staff, whose insights and familiarity with the team could prove invaluable. Carroll's approach highlights a balance between familiarity and innovation. He also acknowledged the importance of having a team that can challenge and ground him, pointing out how vital it's been to have trusted individuals like Glenn in his corner to keep him focused and balanced. Speculation about potential staff additions has been swirling, with names like Robert Saleh and Steve Sarkisian mentioned. However, some candidates are unrealistic, like Lane Kiffin, who, as the head coach of a top college program, is unlikely to step into an offensive coordinator role. Carroll's history of working with talented coordinators suggests that the Raiders could benefit from strong leadership hires, but the specifics remain to be seen. Ultimately, Spytek and Carroll are focused on building a coaching staff that loves football and shares their competitive spirit. It's not just about experience. It's about finding the right people who can help the Raiders grow and succeed. As the Raiders begin to assemble their staff, several names are being considered, including Gus Bradley and Darrell Bevell on the offensive side of the ball. Shane Waldron is another intriguing candidate. While some fans may have reservations about figures like Gus Bradley, it's clear that Pete Carroll values familiarity. He's prioritizing coaches he's worked with before, people who understand his system and philosophy. This approach reflects Carroll's confidence in building a winning culture. The excitement is palpable as the Raiders move forward. After years of struggles, there's genuine hope that this team is turning a corner. For 2 decades, meaningful January football has been elusive, but Carroll and Spytek might just be the duo to change that. Drawing inspiration from Jim Harbaugh's immediate impact with the Chargers, it's not far-fetched to imagine the Raiders making the playoffs as soon as this upcoming season. Of course, the task won't be easy, especially when sharing a division with the Chiefs, a team potentially on its way to a 3rd consecutive Super Bowl. For Raiders fans, watching a rival dominate is tough, but it also sets a benchmark to aspire to. The ultimate goal is to build a team capable of competing for championships, and the Raiders seem to be heading in the right direction. When asked about roster decisions, Carroll didn't hesitate to clarify the collaborative nature of his partnership with Spytek. "We're collaborating on everything," Carroll emphasized. "We are partners, and all decisions will be made together." Spytek agreed, reinforcing the sense of unity between the two. This shared approach could be a key factor in the Raiders' success. Carroll's extensive experience across various levels of football, whether at USC, the Seahawks, or other teams, positions him as a vital asset. His winning track record and leadership will be instrumental as the Raiders seek to rebuild and reclaim their place as contenders. Fans often think that head coaches have limited responsibilities, focusing only on coaching, while general managers handle all roster decisions. However, the reality is different depending on the team and the individuals involved. For example, Pete Carroll, with his wealth of experience, likely has much more influence over decisions compared to someone like Josh McDaniels. I remember when Dave Ziegler and McDaniels were asked about their roles, Ziegler confidently declared that he was 100% in charge, making all the decisions. But with someone like Pete Carroll, who's been successful across various teams, his input carries more weight. Spytek was also asked about roster construction and made an important point. There's no perfect way to build a team. He mentioned that 44 of the initial 53 players on the roster last year were either drafted or signed as undrafted free agents, UDFA. I love this approach, as it mirrors what successful teams like the Buccaneers have done. Relying heavily on free agency can be a risky way to build a team. Take Corey Littleton, for example. Paying a linebacker $15 million a year who thrived in one system but may not fit in another doesn't always make sense. A guy like Donon Bland from the Cowboys could be an example. His success in one scheme doesn't guarantee it will translate to the Raiders. Building through the draft and UDFA is a smarter way to construct a team because those players have been molded into the system, showing long-term success. Carroll and Spytek seem to understand that. Spytek also credited Pete Carroll for thinking outside the box when he first joined the Seahawks. Back then, the idea of a quarterback under 6 feet tall was considered unconventional. But Carroll went against the grain and drafted Russell Wilson, which led to a Super Bowl win and plenty of success. Spytek admires Carroll for making that bold decision and for his ability to think differently. While it's too early to say if the Raiders will win multiple Super Bowls under this new leadership, I'm more optimistic about Spytek than I've been with any general manager since Reggie McKenzie was fired. My optimism for past figures like Ziegler and McDaniels just wasn't the same. Spytek has a lot of potential, but his first draft will really tell us what kind of GM he is. We quickly saw with Ziegler that he wasn't up to the task. It'll be interesting to see how Spytek does. Let me know what you think about this breakdown. If you enjoyed it, hit that thumbs up button and subscribe if you're not already subscribed. I'll see you next time with another video.